Hey guys, and welcome to Seriously Though with Elizabeth. 1st of October. First of all, I want to start with Happy New Month. I'm glad that those of you watching are able to watch with me this month. It means you are alive. So, welcome to the new month. Secondly, if you do not know, in case you know, well, if you know, good for you. But if you do not know, the 1st of October is an Independence Day for a very interesting country, and that country is Nigeria. If you are not aware already, I am Nigerian. So happy Independence Day to my country. And to, you know, on this episode, I decided to do some research about Nigeria, even though, unfortunately, I have realized, or, we've seen that history is not a major thing in our country, like being taught in schools. A lot of people do not know their own history. It's one thing for you to know your history, it's another thing for the rest of the world to even know a bit about you guys. I know we know the basic things like, oh, colonial rule and how the British Empire is the reason that Nigeria even has the name Nigeria, and how a group of people with different cultures, beliefs, and thoughts were just, kind of put together, drew a line around us and said, now we call this space Nigeria. Now you people have to be a country. And for whatever reason, good or bad, I don't know, we have continued to live like that as a country since then. By God's grace, we'll do well. I'm not hoping that we scatter. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that that is how it has been, even after our independence, which was like 1960. Yeah, I know my dates. 1st of October. So happy independence again. So this particular video, I'm going to be giving you guys a quick story about a certain empire that existed before the name Nigeria was even coined, and what they did, because I find it interesting. But before I do, we have a goal to forget. And that goal is going to be met, whether anybody likes it or not. So you're going to help me, guys. If you know you have been enjoying what I've been doing so far, please share this with your friends and get them to subscribe, turn on their post notifications, and join the community. Basically, have conversations, and let's see how much we can accomplish within this period and hit our goals. So thank you guys for doing this in advance. Let's get into today's topic. Seriously though, how far Nigeria? I'm going to be reading out the story of the Great Benin Empire. Now, if you do not know about the Benin Empire, it is obviously still current Benin State Edo in Nigeria. And unfortunately, I realized not a lot of people actually know about the Great Benin Empire, the rise and the fall of it. That's why I said I'm going to read you a story. Don't worry, I'm going to be as interesting and dramatic as you can think. So join me as I do this. Then we'll dissect it small. Okay. Okay. The Benin Empire was one of the most remarkable kingdoms in Africa's history, the Great Benin Empire. At first, the Edo people were led by a line of kings called the Ogisos. Now, note, please, if I pronounce anything wrong, be very quick to correct me. But I am not from Edo State. I do not know how to pronounce these names, so forgive me in advance. Thank you. Ogisos, the rulers of the sky. Interesting. They governed wisely for centuries, but when the line fell into disorder, the people sought a new beginning. Their call reached to the great city of Ife. The prince named Oramiya answered. From him came Eweka, the first Oba of Benin, and with his crown, a dynasty was born, one that still lives on today. Now, I'm going to be giving you some highlighted facts and, run through of this empire. So, the Prince of Ife, Oramion, Oran, Mian. Jesus, who's Yoruba here? If you're Yoruba, please forgive me too. But the Prince of Ife, Oramion, had a son who became the Oba, which started the Oba dynasty that still exists till today. Over the centuries, the Obas consolidated power, built a strong centralized government, and developed Benin City into a thriving urban center. Now, the golden age between the 15th and the 17th century, the empire reached its peak during the reign of Oba Eru Are. They expanded the empire's territory through warfare and diplomacy, built a large defensive wall around Benin City, part of Benin Walls, one of the largest man-made earthworks in the world. I actually remember hearing a bit about that and how it was compared or to the Great Wall of China, in fact. That was mind-blowing to me. I think I really enjoyed that fact. I never knew that, Nigeria, well, not Nigeria, but a part of Nigeria was capable of such. But, we're glad about that. I'm sure there are a lot of other things we can talk about, in Kaduna and all that. But let's continue with Benin. Now, in the late 15th century, the Portuguese arrived. Trade relations flourished, and Benin exchanged things like ivory, pepper, textiles, and later on, even slaves for firearms, brass, and goods. Oh, lo, lo, lo. This contact influenced the development of Benin art, especially the famous bronze plaque cast with Portuguese imagery. The Oba was the supreme ruler, considered divine, assisted by powerful chiefs organized into palace societies and guilds. The kingdom was highly structured, with skilled artisans, traders, and warriors. Arts and culture were central. Benin bronze, ivory carvings, and elaborate court rituals showcased sophistication. Now, wow. Now, the decline in the 18th and 19th century. As the Atlantic slave trade grew, Benin at first participated but later restricted it, which reduced its economic power compared to other kingdoms. Internal strife, succession disputes, and external pressures weakened the empire. By the 19th century, Benin became less dominant, though still respected. Now, the fall of the empire. In 1897, after a conflict with the British officials, the British launched a punitive expedition against Benin City. The city was burned. Thousands of priceless bronze and artifacts were looted and shipped to Europe. Oba over. I'm gonna say this with the sincerest apology I'm gonna be giving. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Please collect what I'm gonna give you now. Please, sorry, but he long and he hard. Okay. Oba Ovon Ramwen no Gbaisi. Sorry, Oba. Was captured and exiled to Calabar. This marks the formal end of Benin Empire, though the royal line continues symbolically to this very day. So now the Benin Empire, for those who even know the history, is remembered for things like the sophisticated governance and city planning, artistic mastery, especially the Benin bronze, now in museums worldwide, being one of Africa's most enduring and organized pre-colonial states. Today, the Oba of Benin remains a cultural and traditional authority in Nigeria. So basically, this is a run through about the Benin Empire. And I know this isn't necessarily part of the 65 years of, Nigeria's independence, but I was just looking, like I said, at the fact that there are empires and countries or states, then countries, but now states that existed and, flourished to some certain extent before things got bad and the Benin Empire fell. It just made me realize that there were great nations and great cities, and we don't really talk about it, from the African point of view. I know that things like, that happen in Egypt and Ethiopia and all that have represented Africa for the longest. And whenever we want to talk about Africa, the rest of Africa is kind of neglected because there is lack of proper documentation of what they were doing or capable of, and, things like that. There is a lot that not just Nigeria, but Africa as a whole has to do to be able to really, stand and boldly speak as a thriving nation. We need to, and I say this with all honesty and sadness in my heart because I am Nigerian, that we cannot confidently come out and say we are a first world country. We are still termed as third world. That's crazy. That is crazy. And it's not like we do not have the people who are incapable of living up to that expectation. In fact, Africa is so blessed that it's stressing me that the people in it is almost like refuse to see it that way. Nigeria has stood for the past 65 years, and can we can we record, like, if we're going to go back and say, okay, have we done well? Are we growing or are we declining? That's an answer you answer by yourself, because I'm not gonna be giving that answer here. Although personally, honestly, I feel like we can do better. Stories like this just make me realize that we do have capacity to be able to run a nation and run it well. But for some reason, it's not happening, and the people are suffering. And I don't know if it is just wickedness or ignorance, whatever it is. We should just not deny the fact that we are not where we are supposed to be. There's a difference between, okay, there's no capacity or no knowledge, or simple ignorance of not knowing how to do something well, and then there is the fact that it is literally staring you in the eye. You have all you need to do it well, and you have the resources and manpower to get it done, but you just decide not to. And that's unfortunately feels like what the situation is right now, where we are at as a nation. I just pray for Nigeria. I am not ashamed to say that I am a Nigerian. I do hope for better. I do hope we see things better, but I cannot live my life in shame. It's not going to happen. I am very proud to be Nigerian. I'm proud to be African. I'm proud to be black, because this is what God has created me to be, and it's for a very important reason. And I'm going to celebrate all our wins and strength. And it does not mean that we should not call out our weaknesses and shortcomings and work on them. What can I do to, will I say, help at least my environment, even if everybody else either is completely nonchalant or wicked, or even maybe have given up? Because to be sincere, the reason why things are getting worse on my own part and my own belief is not just because people are greedy. It's also because a lot more people that who have genuine, good interest or genuine hearts that want to see Nigeria do well have kind of given up. We have seen a lot of people that have given up. And I know somebody saying, can you blame them? You try, they frustrate. You try, they frustrate. It's one of two things. Either we all just decide, give up and let things be. And if we let things be, it means it keeps declining. Or we look at our own space, look at what we can do, whatever we are doing, how we can make it better, hold ourselves accountable and keep talking about it, keep pushing, and keep being involved with making sure things work out. I pray for Nigeria. I pray Nigeria only gets better. Sometimes it's hard to see that, I'll be sincere. But it doesn't stop me from really desiring the best. Because from the deepest part of my heart, I don't want us giving up. Don't do that. The day we give up, it's over. So happy Independence Day. I hope you've learned something new. I decided to do this because, like I said, not a lot of people knew this. I didn't know this for the longest. And I really do hope that the Nigerian curriculum in schools starts teaching more about our history and not just telling us about Lord Lugard. I know send that guy. Okay, fine, I know him. But why is he the most? Please teach us about the emirs and the obas and great things that we are able to accomplish. Inspire the children. That is how growth happens. I don't know who's listening to this. Me, I know whoever is listening to this, you could be the next person to change this nation for my children, even if it's not for me. So I really hope that you take it to heart. Okay? Happy Independence Day. If you want to wish us Independence Day, if you are a Nigerian or not, you can leave that in the comment section. Whatever it is you'd like to share, please leave it in the comment section. I love hearing from you guys, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.